Hey, buddy. How's it going, everybody? LSU finished this off 28-25. Gain control, but then really just Mississippi State came back in there. Bunch of late scores at the end, and man, that game was unnecessarily close, wasn't it? Unnecessarily close. I'm going to invite some more people in here and share this, and we're going to wait for just a bit here, and then we'll get started. I mean, that was a rip-roaring game. That was a fantastic. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see from an SEC contest, where just, I mean, it seemed like LSU were in control there, and then Mississippi State come back with just a bunch of just out of nowhere, just some big plays, just gashing at LSU's defense. Just LSU were just keeping it in front of them, and basically just were able to run out the clock on Mississippi State right there. It was a close one there at the end. Chelsea's heading to work. Chelsea's heading to the Fear Factory. I don't know, whoever's watching. Love you. LSU without Derek Stingley, without a bunch of guys, Andre Anthony, of course, John Emery Jr., Trey Bradford, both were declared ineligible, at least for right now. And LSU, they somehow came out, stepped on Mississippi State's throat, and, everybody's expecting that defense to be god-awful for LSU. Even I was expecting LSU's defense to not be god-awful, but allow a lot of touchdowns, a lot of points, a lot of yards, basically get just dominated. And what you saw from LSU was far better performance defensively than last year. There was just playmakers all over the place for LSU's defense. Cordell Flott led the day, one forced fumble and one interception, and I think it was 6 or 7 tackles. Cordell Flott responded to the criticism in the face of intense doubt after last year, where he, I think, directly allowed 2 or 3 touchdowns against KJ Costello's Mississippi State. Today against Will Rogers, Cordell Flott had a lot to prove, and he kicked some ass. He took some names, and I'm watching it again right now. I mean, that's Stingley-esque right there, that play. He just smashes the hell out of him. Damon Clark gets the ball, 40-yard fumble return. I love you, babe. Have a good day. And, yeah, I mean, for a second I thought Damon was gone. I thought he's going for a touchdown here. I mean, just look at that play. I mean, that's just beautiful. Just smashes him. Sorry, I was going to show you the footage there, but I was like, that looked kind of weird, but don't want to get a copyright thing here. But, wow. Unbelievable. It's very, very reminiscent of his good buddy, Derek Stingley Jr.'s boom, smash out, forced fumble hit last week against Central Michigan. Unbelievable there from Cordell Flott. What a way to set the tone defensively, too, because, I mean, that's what you want. That's what we want to do every game from here on out. Make an LSU Tigers type play coming out. Hit him in the face. Hit him in the mouth. Make a turnover, especially. Cause a turnover. Sack the quarterback in a huge, expressive badass way where you smash his ass out of bounds. Something like that says that's LSU football. Okay? And we love to do that in the running game, especially. But the defense is what's doing it right now, I think, setting the tone for these games. Offensively, we kind of set that aggressive, fast-paced tone last week. This week, the defense comes out, smashes him in the face with Cordell Flott, forcing that fumble, saying, hey, we're okay without number 7 for a few weeks. We'll be fine. And LSU's defense really shut up a lot of doubters. I predicted LSU would allow 28 points, though. They did end up allowing 25. Let's look at the stats here, because here's the thing. LSU were in quite, pretty good control there for most of the game there until the last 7 minutes, I think. Last 8 minutes. And then Mississippi State scored 15 points in that fourth quarter. 15 points in that fourth quarter to make it really close game. 62 attempts for Will Rogers, 47 completions, 371 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. We knew what they were going to do, but look at that, 6 yards average. That's fantastic for LSU when you're looking at that. Of course, Will Rogers is going to get over 300 yards. Of course, they're going to take those just boom, those little hitches, those little bubbles, and they're just going to get 5 or 6 yards. But it's about keeping it to 5 or 6 yards instead of 20 or 30 like last year, or actually like last year, it would be more like 60 or 70 into the end zone. So this year, you saw LSU understanding, we're going to let you complete the football if you want all day and all night. And then we're just going to make the tackles. LSU made the tackles. That was the game. I know I wrote about that. I know I said that a bunch in my pre-games. We did a lot of pregame coverage. Can LSU just tackle? Can they just limit these big plays? They did big time. Of course, 15 points, 22 in the second half after a 3-point first half. We basically shut them out offensively. They only had 3 points until 40 seconds or something in the third quarter, 2 minutes. It was under a minute or something when they finally scored a touchdown in that third quarter. LSU's defense were playing lights out. They had a plan. Durante Jones came in, did Starkville with a well-adapted plan. And absolute credit to Durante Jones out there. But without Cordell Flott getting that awesome interception as well on the next couple of drives after his forced fumble, that just Eli Ricks, Derek Stingley Jr.-esque interception. I mean, the guy, he allowed 11 touchdowns himself last year. 11 touchdowns himself. But when we wrote his 2021 profile, I said a few things. I said, of course, we got to focus on what he did negatively. But we're also, by that token, going to focus on what he did positively. There was a few plays against Texas A&M last year where Flott was this close to having a pick six, this close to stripping the ball. And if a penalty hadn't been called on the defense, or in one play, if he didn't miss the route by just a tiny fraction of a bit, Flott has 2 huge turnovers in that game, Texas A&M's offense weren't really doing much against us with Kellen Mond. So, you take those performances by Flott and you say, okay, he's still a great player if he can turn that switch, if he can turn the bend around and turn around the bend and figure some stuff out. He did. Coming into this season, Cordell Flott has been lighting on fire. Every game he's at least a tackle for loss, made a big play in the backfield. Every game he's done something, but he's been kind of playing limited reps. Today, he came out against the team that kind of psychologically broke him last year, and he not only shined, he was the defensive MVP for the Tigers, and you could also make a case that he was the overall MVP because he set the tone with 2 huge turnovers. I mean, obviously his turnovers mean nothing though without Max Johnson being an absolute artist at quarterback today. 4 passing touchdowns. Again, over 3+ touchdown passes in his career. How many consecutive starts is he going to keep this streak going for? It's absolutely disgusting. 17 of 27, 280 yards, 10.4 average, 4 touchdowns. Did throw the pick on a long route to Deion Smith. I'm not sure that pass was all on Max. Deion kind of has to go up and contest for that football. He kind of let Max out to dry. Max, just like Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow would throw that football up because he knew Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, I'm going to trust you to make those catches. Terrace Marshall, I'm going to trust you to make those catches, but I'm going to put it where only you can get it. But there's sometimes it's going to be 50-50, and you just got to make that play. You got to bail us out. You got to go get that touchdown. You got to get that ball, and you just got to make plays. Sometimes there's no more deeper analytics or deeper stats than just you've got to get the football. You've got to make a play on the damn ball. And you really saw Deion Smith kind of let Max hang out to dry there. Whereas last week, Deion Smith, saw that ball hanging up in the air, 50-50, could be perchance an interception if Deion doesn't make that touchdown catch, and boom, snatches it from him, mosses the dude. And he was absolutely, having a symbiotic, great, trusting relationship with Max, where Max was just putting it with accuracy, in touch, precision, and then Deion is going up and getting it, helping his quarterback. But there's only so many times where the ball is going to be up in the air that the defender is gonna have a chance to make a play on the ball, and he definitely did here. Deion Smith, I feel, should have done more on that route, but maybe on the film, watch it again. Maybe it was a bad pass, but it felt kind of 50-50 to me. But, interesting thing for LSU here. They came out with the 3-4 defensive setup. I think that shocked a lot of people. Did that shock you that they came out playing the 3-4? Because that was pretty nuts. That was pretty. I mean, it was like, whoa. You guys are really gonna come out playing the 3-4. This is exactly what I was hoping for, because it's exactly what Mississippi State don't expect. They expect LSU to be, beholden to some type of, I don't know, some type of stupid philosophy obsession. But no, they were not going to allow that to happen. They absolutely went in there, kicked some absolute ass, took some names, and said, we're not going to let this happen. Defensively, they let Mike Leach dink and dunk all over the place, but they kept it in front of them. There was nowhere for them to go after the catch. That limited just their ability to go into tempo. There was a lot of drops as well because they were just out of rhythm. Usually they thrive off of the chains moving and Will Rogers being able to run up there and yell the call, and then they're hurry quickly, boom, they're calling another play, boom, they're throwing another screen. Oh, maybe it only goes for 4 or 5 yards, but boom, they're going again. Boom, they're running it this time, a ghost draw. Boom, they're going again. They're throwing a quick slant. LSU had it all in front of them because they were making these stops. They were causing these negative plays where, like, Neil Farrell would bull rush everybody and just go back there and just take someone and just destroy them. Neil Farrell Jr. for LSU had so many plays in the backfield, so many plays tonight. I mean, he's done it all season long, but Neil Farrell has made unbelievable plays. I don't care what his tackles for loss statistics indicate, how many he has per game. He's making at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 plays per game in the backfield from the defensive tackle position. And moving to the 3-4 actually seemed to help him, believe it or not. It was pretty impressive from Neil Farrell Jr. out there. I think he helped his draft stock immeasurably. But, LSU's defensive line did a fantastic job, I think, tonight. I think they did a great job. There was some stuff later on where, they were able to gash us in the running game, but they still did a good job. I don't really count too many sacks. I think they just had the one sack from Ali Gay. Let's see some of these comments. Larry's saying, I don't care what any of you say, I am not impressed with Max. He holds onto the ball too long. He's inaccurate. His ball has no zip. I miss Miles. Well, let me show you something, Larry. Miles Brennan is not making this play. Okay. Miles Brennan is not making this play. Okay. All right, Larry, just pay attention. Watch Max. Miles Brennan is not making that play. Miles Brennan is not making that play. Max Johnson, he's making that play all day, baby. You're going to tell me you miss Miles Brennan after Max Johnson throws for how many touchdown passes? He's thrown for 21 touchdown passes, Larry, since he started games for LSU. And it's just and also he's had these touchdowns in the mop-up games as a freshman too. He'd come off the bench. He saved us from a shutout against Texas A&M and Auburn. Okay? He came in those games and absolutely saved us from embarrassment and shutouts against Auburn and A&M, and you're going to say you don't like Max? I understand it. Max hasn't been perfect, Larry. But, dude, you don't know what you're talking about when you're saying he's not a better quarterback than Miles Brennan. He's absolutely showing it right now. He's outperforming Miles Brennan. He's finding guys in rhythm for yards after catch. LSU's offense wasn't great today. They weren't absolutely sterling perfect, but they made explosive, huge plays when they needed to. They absolutely were back-breaking, destroying, just psychological destroying plays for Mike Leach's team. That is what you need to do in the SEC. You're not always going to be able to dominate and throw for 800 yards, blah, 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 40 billion touchdowns. I mean, you've been spoiled by Joe Burrow, my friend. And Max Johnson, he's not Joe Burrow, but I love what Maximus is doing out there, okay? I really love what he's trying to establish at LSU. And I think today, once again, he showed why he's a fantastic quarterback for LSU. 17 for 27, 280, 4 touchdowns, finding a bunch of guys for some big plays. Let's look at this here, because I know he was hitting guys like crazy. I mean, he even found Dre Jenkins a few here. The 4 for 85 to Kayshon Boutte is what, totally that won us the game. Trey Palmer, that big bust. Only one target Trey Palmer's way, 58 yards for the touchdown. Brian Thomas Jr., though, he made 3 catches for 43 yards count, a 20-yard long one as well. Brian Thomas Jr., he had a pretty big game for us, some big, important first downs. Cole Taylor, the ball was intended for Kayshon Boutte, Dan Orlovsky believes, but it looked like a pass to Cole Taylor crossing route, but maybe it could have been to Boutte. Either way, Cole Taylor takes it and goes for 41 yards for his first ever LSU touchdown, baby. That was a big play. That was a big, big play. Kevin Howell, my man, what's up, brother? I was shocked they stayed in the 3-4 so much. Me too, man. But hey, I liked that. I loved it. It showed that we are able to bend and to adapt. And why not? We have the personnel to do it. Why the hell not? Like, seriously, give me a reason why LSU shouldn't play the 3-4 more often. I think the 3-4 actually helps you limit space after the catch. for me, from what I've seen. It allows you to use your playmakers on the edge in a more versatile way. I mean, look at what Jason Taylor did. Okay, you have Jason Taylor in the fourth. In the 4-3, and Jason Taylor is a Pro Bowler. He's dominant with Miami Dolphins. He's physical. He's incredible. He's a specimen. All those great things. But then they take him and they put him in the 3-4 under Nick Saban for Nick Saban's few seasons, and Jason Taylor becomes a Hall of Famer. I understand. I'm a big fan of the 4-3 too, but at the same time, the 4-3 it's very susceptible to the modern offensive juggernauts. Okay, it's very susceptible because there's a lot of space in those intermediary or underneath routes after the catch. If you can burn just one or two or maybe three guys off the edge, outside linebackers, defensive ends, if they break contain, you're done for. Tonight we saw guys break contain, and a linebacker was there to clean up and finish it. And maybe Mississippi State would get the first down, but it wouldn't really matter because they would be held on the drive anyway. LSU were dominant in that first half defensively. 3 red zone trips for Mississippi State, 1 field goal, 2 turnovers, both from Cordell Flott. That's dominance defensively. There was plays where these guys didn't even want to catch the ball because they knew LSU's headhunters were coming for him. There was a screen where that guy just let the ball go right off his hands because he saw Cordell Flott coming to absolutely smash him. Kevin, my man, what's up, brother? Defense did play awesome today. I agree. You gotta hand it to him. Durante Jones actually went in there with a damn plan, unlike Bo Pelini. And I'm even watching it right now. They were playing 3-4 base. And Cam Lewis is going side to side, making some just sick-ass tackles. I hope they'll post the defensive stats officially right now. I've got Ali Gay with 4 pressures, 1 sack in his return, leading the way in pressures in the pressures department, by the way. I was very keenly watching the pressures. Ojulari, this is going to shock you all, and I don't think I'm wrong on this. 1 pressure all night. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel there's only 1 official actual pressure by him where he actually pressured the quarterback, not just he got there or whatever, but actually pressured. Joe Evans, 1 pressure, but it was a big one. It was on 3rd down. Jaquelin Roy, 2 pressures, 1 quarterback hit, 1 key huge pressure and quarterback hit on 3rd down that totally forced an incompletion. Cordell Flott allowed 2 catches, was targeted frequently. I don't have all of his targets down, though, but he had at least 6, 7, maybe 8 tackles, also a pass breakup, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble. I think you'll see him listed among SEC players of the week defensively. At least I hope that would be for him. He was dominant. He was fantastic. Joey Foster. Okay, nice win, LSU. See you guys later, and good luck this season. Okay. I don't know if there's sarcasm in there or what. Bama fan, I'm not sure. But, yeah, LSU are building something, but, I mean, we don't know exactly what. But here's the thing. People can say whatever they want, but this season is going to be crazy. It's going to be like 2007. I've said it all off season, that this season was going to be a year where we don't know what team everybody has really until halfway through this year. And by that time, so many of these teams will have cannibalized each other, especially in the SEC and in some of these bigger conferences, Big Ten, maybe even. You've seen some bizarre. The ACC as well. Clemson are very susceptible. I could see Clemson lose a few games as well. It's going to be a very bizarre season. Lon, what Max did today won't fly against the better defenses on our schedule. Yeah. He has to get rid of the ball faster. Orlovsky was right. It was intended for Butte, and that's a pick if Cole didn't catch it. I don't know. You can't really say it was a pick if he doesn't get it, because Butte could reach his hands in there like a freak and get that. I mean, it's not like Butte was out of the play completely, my man. Also, Max wasn't flawless, but you cannot fault a quarterback who throws for 4 touchdowns a game, okay, and has been leading his team to victories. This is a huge SEC victory for Max Johnson, especially. Max, he needed this game. He was not flawless, but then again, he threw countless passes to big guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different targets for 9+ yards. Seven different targets who at least had a reception of 9+ yards. Some huge plays. The first ever quarterback for LSU since Danny Etling in 2016 to have 2 receptions of 55+ yards in the same game. Or was it 2 receiving touchdowns? Let me look at that stat here. He's the first Tigers quarterback to put up multiple touchdowns of 55+ yards in a game since 2016, Danny Etling. Okay. And, I mean, my God, the 41-yard touchdown to Cole Taylor as well. I mean, these are huge, huge, monumental plays that you cannot discount. I understand that the offense was sloppy. I understand the offense lacked rhythm. But just because we hit Central Michigan in the mouth didn't mean that we're perfect, guys and gals, and everyone who's an LSU fan that we love. People are people. Join us, baby. But LSU there was some sloppiness on the offensive side of the ball. But Max Johnson's LSU, there's some big playability to it that is it feels like at any point in the game, this team can explode. And that's very tantalizing. It's very intriguing. Here's the defensive stats. Damon Clark with 15 total tackles. Once again, I think he's led the way for every single game this season. Micah Baskerville, 11 tackles, was fantastic throughout, except in the passing game. Micah Baskerville had one of the best first halves he's had in his LSU career. He was all over the place. He even had a pass breakup in the first half that almost led to an interception. He was all over the place. A tackle for loss. It only says a half tackle for loss. I feel like Micah Baskerville had to have at least 5 tackles for loss. I mean, he was absolutely blowing everything up. But in the second half, I swear to God, he allowed at least 8 or 9 catches. He was absolutely preyed upon by Mike Leach. That was their halftime adjustment. Go after the lack of height with Micah Baskerville and the lack of size with Micah Baskerville. Make him chase those 50-50 routes. Make him chase those crossing routes. He can't do it. And they exposed that big time. Major Burns with 9 tackles, 2 solo only. He had a disciplined day. He didn't really do anything that was stand out, but he did have some big time stops. 9 tackles is 9 tackles. Cordell Flott had the 8 tackles, 4 solo, 1 interception, of course, 1 forced fumble, and the 1 pass breakup. Jay Ward in his return, 6 tackles, only 2 solo. Good to see him just make it through the 4 quarters. No injuries, nothing new. Just Jay Ward playing LSU football back there at safety. And what did you see? What did you see with Jay Ward's return? You saw a disciplined, finite, attacking, kick-ass LSU football team. You saw a team that was able to go out there and absolutely stomp. Yes, the second half, the last quarter and a half, well, more like the last quarter, LSU were getting run ragged. I understand. But all in all, we went in there. Durante Jones, he had a plan against Mike Leach, and we went in there. He prepped all offseason to win this game. Never again, he said. Bo Pelini, never again. I mean, I'm seeing defensive tackles fold out from those blocks and come out on those screens and make big tackles so that it doesn't have to be the safety has to make a one-on-one tackle every 10, 15, 20-yard gain that they get. I mean, it was fantastic to see from LSU. Every time that they needed to make some type of big stop, they did. And just as I predicted before the game, they were going to create some turnovers. It wasn't Eli Ricks's 2 interceptions, as I predicted, sadly. But I will absolutely, in a heartbeat, take 2 turnovers caused by Cordell Flott. How could you not? This is such a huge confidence boost for Cordell Flott, guys and gals, everybody. This is such a huge confidence booster for him. I mean, if you're not aware of how much we need a Cordell Flott to be flying on all cylinders this season, then you're not paying much attention to LSU and where their failures are on defense. It's absolutely the nickel position. Cordell Flott kicked some ass. He took some names. This is going to be a big confidence booster for this young man. Let's see how he continues to respond and develop. I mean, this was a thriller. This was a game where LSU needed this. And he stood up without Derek Stingley Jr. on the field and absolutely said never again. Because he knew he was the reason we lost that game last year, as well as Darren Evans was. And he said never again. Just as much as Bo Pelini, Cordell Flott was the problem as well. It was that bad. The scheme was that bad. But not only that, but just the performance. LSU's defense responded. They played tough, hard-nosed Tiger football today. That's what it's about, baby. We'll get to your comments in just one second. Check out LSUODYSSEY.com. That's where we're putting everything up, baby. That's where we've got it all going down. LSUODYSSEY.com. What can we say? We're repping the Tigers because we love the Tigers. But at the same time, we keep our eye on everything across college football. So definitely check us out there. Whoa, Miami Hurricanes. No, good God. Get that off. Miami Hurricanes. No. Sorry. I mean, I'm borrowing Mark's profile, and my God. He's got all these channels, so I accidentally pressed the wrong button there. It's my bad. It's not like I'm up in here putting Miami stuff on here. This is Mark's profile. Just to let you know, just a slip of the fingers. But yeah, I mean, let's continue to see what everybody thought of this game today. Kevin Howe, I like that it shows diversity on defense. Yeah, just fundamental sound football. They were able to get off their blocks. I mean, there was still some gashing plays, and I'm still very troubled by the fact that Mississippi State got back into this game. The offense really should have made a statement, put their foot down, and finished the game off. But you cannot fault this offense and claim that they're not making huge plays or they're not doing the best that they could. Or I understand it. I understand it. We don't have a running game. We don't have an offensive line, though. That's why we don't have a running game. And that's why sometimes we lack a rhythm. But at the same time, this offense are making huge plays that are destroying these SEC opponents. At least one so far. We got to take it one game at a time. We got to improve one game at a time. And I saw Jeray Jenkins drop 3 passes last week. And this week, I saw him catch 2 passes. I know it's just a very small thing, but it's a big deal for these guys. We're still alive in the college football playoff SEC picture. There's only one loss on our resume. I know people laugh and mock that, but it's just mathematical truth. LSU got to play way better if they're even going to come close to even saying we're contenders for that position. But when you've got guys who are going rogue and making these sick plays like Cordell Flott's pick, I mean, that high points that ball. The way he high points that ball is just absolute filth. I mean, and LSU made him pay. LSU made them pay today. Let's see who else is in here. Mr. Kevin Howell. Mason Smith, 3 tackles, 2 solo. Ali Gay. Yep, Ali Gay had the only sack of the game, just as I charted. So only 1 sack on the day, but that's what you're going to get from a team that doesn't really – they don't hold on to the ball at all for even a sack to be possible. I actually liked how Ty Davis-Price ran the ball. I feel like when our offensive line even gave him a little bit of a chance, he not only took it, he was then breaking tackles, going next level. Like right there, I just saw his shiftiness in the hole. He just made 2 guys miss there. Ty Davis-Price showed us some escapability. He showed some shiftiness. That's the thing is I knew we were not going to have too much of a running game against this team, but Zach Arnett's defense, they're exotic. They run lots of different blitzes, but Ty Davis-Price was extremely effective. Let's put it that way. 5 first downs for LSU. Let's check his overall yards here. Let's see what he ended up with. 13 carries for 51 yards, 3.9 yards per carry. At one point, he was going for 6.1. 18-yard long rush as well. He was leading the way because no one else was. Corey Kiner, who was explosive the last few games, 4 carries for 14 yards. He tried to jump over a player, which was so dangerous. Scared the crap out of his mom. Corey, she's given me permission. Your mom, Deneen, has given me permission to say it on this show. Okay, Corey? Don't leave your feet. She's telling me to tell you that. Do not leave your feet. You can spin guys all day, all night, but your mother, me, all of LSU and Tiger Nation, do not get hurt, my man. I know you're still probably going to jump over somebody at least once or twice a year, no matter what anyone says. But just please, just don't leave your feet, my man. That was a dangerous play. Corey attempted to jump over a player, almost did it too. But there was a second guy there, and very close quarters too. I can't even believe Corey was able to pull it off. Freakish athlete, but he was taken down at the apex of that leap, and my God, it was rough. It was scary. But he looks okay. He looks to be fine after that collision. But Armani Goodwin had a few rushes. He looked okay. But at the same time, not much from him as I kind of expected. Kind of expected him not to get much of the ball coming off those injuries. Kayshon Boutte, what can you say about this guy? I mean, I remember before the season talking about what an absolute freak he was and talking about what an absolute freak he was this season before that. LSU Odyssey subscribers know this. Our 2020 profile for Kayshon Boutte was written at a time when LSU still had Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, and Eric Gilbert all on roster. And you know what my prediction was for Kayshon Boutte's freshman season with all those guys still around him? 6 touchdowns and 735 yards. His freshman season, he had pretty much 735, 731, I can't remember which one it was, yards. And I believe it was 6, 7 touchdowns right in that ballpark as well. And that was without all of those guys, as with him as the guy. Absolute dominance from this dude. How can you even... He is the best receiver in college football. And when someone says, well, no, he's not, that's debatable, I will then ask them, tell me a guy who can stop him. Show me, you give me a name. You show me a guy that you're 100% confident can stop Kayshon Boutte one-on-one. Show me him. Tell me who. Because I've seen him take on the best defenses. Number 1 Alabama last year, 8 catches, 111 yards, 13.9 per grab, and a touchdown that should have been his, but he Deshaun Jacksoned the moment, sadly. But luckily, John Trey Kirkland was there to scoop it up. But point is, he basically still scored against Alabama. He also basically scored against Texas A&M, but they took the touchdown away from him, which was just nuts. But it was an unbelievable back shoulder catch that he pulled off that was totally clean and clear and had a toe inbounds at the 1-yard line as he fell backwards into the end zone with complete clear possession of the football over the pylon. He was at least down at the 1, no matter what they would have said, but statistics will show you that Kayshon Boutte ended that game for 3 catches, 9 yards. See, stats can be deceiving sometimes when you're not watching the actual game. There's games where Kayshon Boutte was an absolute freak there in 2020. 308 yards, 14 catches against Ole Miss, of course, everybody's going to talk about. But he's just continued where he's left off. 5 touchdowns in 2020, of course. He's got 8 already. He's got 3 games of multiple touchdowns out of 4. 3 games of multiple touchdowns out of 4. Wow. This guy's a freak. This guy's a freak, man. I mean, we charted he was catching a touchdown every 3.3 touches of the ball. Every 3.3 touches of the ball, Kayshon Boutte is scoring a touchdown. Today, I think that stat went down even lower because it went down to 3.2 after his first touchdown. It's probably gone down even further now. Juan Dunn says Max has to work on his deep balls and know when to lead a receiver and when to throw the back shoulder. Yeah, I think he knows how to lead a receiver a lot better than Miles, though. Like, Miles was throwing guys into concussions last year. If you actually truly honestly watch the film from last year, there was play after play after play where where Miles Brennan was throwing receivers right into huge hits, debilitating hits. Kayshon Boutte into a few, to name a player. But you've seen Max Johnson throw it a little bit behind on occasion, but it's never been with gross consistency. He's had a poor throw here and there. The interceptions in every single game, of course, that he's had, except for against. I'm trying to think, what's the game he didn't throw the interception against? That'd be against McNeese, I believe, but in every game he's thrown kind of a really bad pass for the interception, but other than that, has been really on the ball. Max Johnson, yes, there was the UCLA game. He was getting pressured in his face. You can't really put that on him with that type of offensive line. Today, the offensive line performance was so-so. Compared, our expectations have been far lowered. Okay, so comparatively to what my expectations were halfway through the offseason, we were horrible. Comparative to what my expectations were after the first week of fall camp, I'm like, okay, we were so-so today compared to what I expect, because this offensive line is so beat up. I mean, you saw Austin Deculus go down a few times today. Once again, I mean, this guy's playing through God knows how many injuries. This offensive line is beat up. Chasen Hines went down as well a few times. Looking hurt. He got actually blocked. He was actually blocking this dude, and then he actually got jammed right into Max Johnson on a sack. It was a gruesome play and showed Chasen Hines' ability to get pushed off the line. Maybe it could have been a game for Cordell Thomas to come in and get some reps. I don't know. We'll look at that. We're watching the film over again, even as we speak right here. Should I change the view to the TV behind? I mean, why not? Then you can see all of Neil Farrell's brilliant plays. Neil Farrell was a freak today, guys, gals, everyone. Neil Farrell was an absolute monster. I know the stats won't show it. Let's look at the stats, the official stats for Neil Farrell Jr., because I don't think they'll even indicate close to what his influence was here. Neil Farrell Jr., 4 tackles, 1 solo. He has 0 tackles for loss in the stat book. That shows exactly why stats are so misleading, especially in football. I don't feel like they're ever accurately or thoroughly taken, but that can be debated for another day. LSU survived here, though, in the end. See, how is that not a tackle for loss? Let me show you right here. I can prove to you that these stats are liars right here, right now. So it said that Neil Farrell, 0 tackles for loss. Okay. You show me. Look at that black. Okay, look at the black line. Now watch Neil Farrell. Boom. Where's the guy when he throws that dude down? He's back behind the line, at least a yard, maybe even 2. It's a joke. Quite an obvious tackle for loss there from Neil Farrell, but yet the call isn't there. Why is the call not there? Who the hell knows why? My God. It was an interesting game. It got crazy in that second half. LSU had to survive. LSU could not lose this game. This is a game Coach Ed Orgeron could not lose. Not in that way, especially. Having that lead, having such a good plan on defense, and then that happens, that goes down, it would have been shocking. It would have been incredible. Just the most. It would have been one of the worst ways for a championship coach to go out, especially at his dream job, especially at his best program. You're going out to Mississippi State. I think if we lost that game like that, I don't think it cost Coach Ed Orgeron his job, but it starts to begin that process. Today, though, you got to give Coach Ed Orgeron credit. His defense came out with a plan. They played fast. They played physical. They played furious. His defensive line, you saw Coach O going crazy at his defensive lineman, demanding everything they had. And see, here's another red zone opportunity for Mississippi State, where LSU are able to just make these tackles, make these plays where they're just able to get some stops. Even if they allow the catch, they make a stop after 5 or 6 yards. And look at that. Now they're at 3rd and goal. Okay. Damon Clark, yes, he gets picked on for the route, but the guy cannot get away from him. Damon Clark wraps him up, makes the standardized tackle. Really not a sexy play, but as a defensive coordinator, you'd be going nuts. Like, hell yes. Now we've put them in a position Mike Leach does not like to be in. Mike Leach loves options. He doesn't really have many on this play. And boom, LSU stuffed the shit out of that. That's LSU football right there. And you tell me Neil Farrell Jr. doesn't have tackles for loss? There's 2 plays right there on that drive. Look at him bust that up. I understand he doesn't pull off the actual tackle for loss. He actually whiffs it a bit. He blows that play up. The tackle for loss only happens because of him blowing the hell out of that play. Okay? That's the only way that happens. Dan Orlovsky kind of was pissing me off today. Todd Holmes says, wow, 2 minutes left in the 4th, and y'all take a knee. Didn't realize how scared M State made y'all feel. Wow. Well, I mean, that'd be really, I mean, it's just really stupid to run a play when you guys were kind of dumb to challenge that onside kick, waste one of your timeouts. It's like, okay, we probably would have ran a play, but if now they don't have any timeouts, just run the clock out. A win's a win. I understand LSU's standards have dropped a bit, but the LSU standard of play still is at a very high optimum. Collective team, still a lot to be desired. But what you saw from LSU today was a complete team performance on defense. Yes, they were worn down in the 4th quarter, allowing 15 points in that 4th quarter. I understand. But LSU's defense had it going on and absolutely were shutting down Will Rogers most of that game. 47 completions. We basically said, you can pass the ball all day on us. You can just dink and dunk, make all these sorts of completions. We're not going to let you anywhere past this. No Moss. You're not getting anywhere. No big explosive plays. That's just really the prescription for victory for LSU. Just no big plays. And this LSU team were able to stop the big plays on defense, and our offense were a big play machine. We had a pretty tepid first half where there was a lot of openings, and we just kind of failed to really get a rhythm going and take a kill shot. Then in that second half, immediately just boom, boom, boom. That slant to Keyshawn Butte, he gets the ball and he's gone. Just these big plays are going on left and right, and we finish him off. But at the same time, we should have finished him off. We didn't finish them off. 28 points was never going to finish off Mississippi State. I mean, it's a lucky situation that it got to 25, and they were forced to do these onside kicks. They're forced to do all this stuff. They had no timeouts. We were in an advantageous situation because of some lucky moments, some lucky advantages. And we went on the road and won in the SEC, though. That's all that counts. We went on the road and won in the SEC. Max wasn't perfect. You can see on the interception right there. See, Deion Smith, he's got to get in front of that guy. Deion Smith's got to even pass interfere that guy. You got to do whatever possible to not allow that interception. You cannot allow that interception. You've got to interfere that guy. You got to throw him around. You got to do whatever it takes. You cannot let that become an interception. And you saw Jack Besh do that last week, I believe, against Central Michigan. And he threw a few guys away to prevent an interception. But in the first half, you saw pretty tepid from LSU on offense. But second half, everything just turned on its head. Some huge plays from Kayshon Boutte. Just the guy's going to catch a touchdown every game. Every game. He's just a freak. He's just a freak. But then you have, I'm left wondering how Trey Palmer got so open. Let's find that play. How the hell did Trey Palmer get so open on this touchdown? It's probably clear in the second half, but let's see how horrible LSU's offensive line is here. Let's watch how poorly they let Max get absolutely manhandled here. I mean, it just makes you want to just lose your mind. Like, why? Let's see this shit. Oh my God. Max just sitting there, just waiting to get hit. Yes, that's a play where Max holds on to the ball too long. That's a play where Max causes his own problems. You're right. He can do that. He's not flawless, like I've said, but all in all, this offensive line are letting this team down big time. Today they were able to grind. Today this offensive line were able to grind just enough for LSU to get this over the line, and it's a big win psychologically for the team, for the fan base, and who knows where LSU could go from this point. I think people already have in their mind written who LSU are, what LSU are about, how far they're going to be able to go, what they're capable of. But I feel like they really don't know what LSU are actually capable of. I feel like even as much as we have covered these players, if you go on to LSUODYSSEY.com, go into our writing section, and you type in any name for LSU who's mostly recent, but there's a ton of past guys as well for 40 years ago, Jeff Warsham, people like that. But at the same time, you've got to absolutely go in there, and you can find stuff on Jack Besh, and then he explodes. Deion Smith, and then he explodes. We've got playmakers. We've got freshmen all over this team who can make a huge contribution, as we've seen. Mason Smith was all over the field today. What I like to see from Mason Smith was he wasn't really making too much of a fuss in the backfield because the ball was escaping too much, obviously, so fast, out of Will Rogers' hands so fast. But he was responding to that and peeling off and making the tackles. And so was B.J. Ojulari as well. B.J. Ojulari, I didn't expect him to have like a 2.5 sack game. I predicted that, and then once I really kind of thought about it, I was like, do I really think Ojulari can get 2.5 sacks? Is that even going to be possible? And of course it wasn't, but yeah. Wow. Mississippi State outpossessed LSU by 11 minutes. 11 minutes. LSU had 63 yards total rushing. Mississippi State with 115 rushing. They really got it going in the running game in that second half. Dylan Johnson, 6.4 yards per carry, 8 rushes for 51. Then again, Ty 51 yards, 13 carries. So once again, Ty Davis Price's streak of if you give him 15 plus touches, Ty Davis Price eclipses 100 yards and scores a touchdown, and LSU wins. That streak will still be alive. It's a very interesting stat, but it is true. Who is your player of the game? Who's your player of the game for LSU, especially? Who is your player of the game here? Is it Max Johnson with 4 touchdowns, 280 yards? You know, Max showed some sick abilities to evade the sacks, moving in and out of pressure, throwing these brilliant darts, making these big plays. Max Johnson was absolutely empirical for LSU today. Or is it Kayshon Boutte with his 85 yards, his touchdowns, his countless big plays, leading the nation, I believe, with 8 total touchdowns? Mac Carr, my man, he says Cordell Flott is the player of the game. You know what? I cannot disagree with you. I cannot disagree. You know, Cordell Flott was brilliant today. And after what he went through last year, where KJ Costello just absolutely nuclearly eviscerated him, he stepped up in so many huge ways today. It was cool to see. I was really impressed and really proud to see Cordell Flott go through that process. This is a guy who already is a national champion. You know, already has a national championship ring on his finger. He already played a lot of reps in that season, but he had a shocking 2020. A shocking 2020. And I think he was put in a lot of horrible positions. I think Bo Pelini left him basically in no man's land, but he put himself in no man's land a lot of times with those scissor routes where he'd be run right into Derek Stingley Jr. There was a lot of plays where he really let the team down. But this season, Cordell Flott has grabbed redemption. Cordell Flott has been absolutely sick. He's been filthy. Matt Carr is 100% correct when he says Cordell Flott should be the player MVP. I can't disagree with him there. Is he my pick? No. I will tell you my pick. But who are yours, though? Where's Jamer? Where's AD? Where's all my peoples? Where's my peoples at? We've got Kevin Howell in here. I'm not recognizing any of these names. Matt Carr, you seem new to me, my man. I've never even I've never seen your name before on anything. This is weird. Matt Carr joins us, my man. Let's see. Kevin Howell's in the house. Discussing MVPs for the game. Kayshon Boutte is my MVP. Can't be anybody else. The guy won LSU the game with some unbelievably disgusting plays. Some slants that he just takes to the house. That quick early touchdown that really kind of set the tone, even though we dropped off and it was the only score of the first half. Everything was huge that he did. Everything was huge. Kayshon Boutte, I wish we would have used him in some different ways, some more, got him more open. He took some big hits today. And look at that. Wow. Kayshon Boutte took some big hits on some of these targets. But all in all, Kayshon Boutte, one of his best days in his career, I would say. and 2 touchdowns, 85 yards in one of the games LSU absolutely needed it to come in. The Tigers needed this. They needed a big day from Kayshon Boutte, and they got it. Okay, there's Kayshon down at the bottom of the screen. Ty taking it. Boom. See, I don't understand the criticism with Ty Davis-Price when he actually has a run play to the outside. Why don't they just run that play every damn time? Ty is untackleable, but when he's running into a hole where there's like 9 different guys coming at him, 6, 5, 4 different guys, who can get through that? And he still makes a few people miss. But you got to help Ty out with these running plays, right? I mean, that's just horrible. I mean, usually that's a running play for LSU. Usually that's exactly what we're running Ty Davis-Price into. And I love that Jake Peets actually called it a fake this time. He's like, we're going to call one of our running plays. He fakes it, and then bam, Boutte. Second he caught the football, I knew he was gone. What other receiver is like that in college football where it's just, they're gone. They're gone. There's nothing anyone can do about it. Kayshon Boutte is that man. Like, he just can't stop. He just can't stop. Kayshon Boutte is an authority in absolute just aerial assassinry. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Watch what he does here. Yep. Just a little in post. You could call it just a slant, obviously, but it's more like an in post. Wow. And that is just immediately in 38 seconds. That's how LSU start the half. That's the difference between LSU winning and losing this game. These quick striking plays. Look at that throw by Max Johnson. Look at that throw. That is absolutely on the money. This is a great shot right here. Look at that throw. In stride. Beautiful. It doesn't get more sexier than that on offense. That is the big play capability LSU have. Mel Kiper has him rated as a number 5 overall prospect in 23 NFL draft. You damn right. Kayshon Boutte, 8 touchdowns already. Terrace Marshall had 10 last year, 13 in 2019. Justin Jefferson had 18 in 2019. Jamar Chase, 20. 15 games it took for all 3 of those guys to get 13-plus touchdowns. And look at that. They already have 12 touchdowns together. They already have 12 touchdowns together. Max Johnson to Kayshon Boutte. The relationship is unbelievable. It's undeniable. And I cannot believe LSU get to have Kayshon Boutte for another season. It's got to make you feel better I wrote a lot and talked a lot about Derek Stingley going down and how it's such a shame because you're not being able to see such a huge talent at LSU and not being able to see him and Eli Ricks together is such a shame. But then you see across the field, and you got a guy like Kayshon Boutte, and we have another 6, 7, maybe 8 games left with this guy this season. Yeah, we got 8 games left, potentially more this season with this guy. And then we have all of next year too with Kayshon Boutte. Oh my God. No, LSUODYSSEY.com were on Kayshon Boutte from the beginning. I knew he was going to be a star. And he's just come in and just continually proved it. He's been absolutely disgusting. If there is a defensive MVP, though, it's got to be, of course, Cordell Flott. But if we're going to talk about a second guy My MVP is Keishon Butte, but we're going to talk and defensively, of course, it's got to be Cordell Flott. But overall, you could say second overall, Cordell Flott could be that guy too. But that third guy, I feel like you got to give Damon Clark some love. Okay, Damon Clark, he's had a lot of haters. He's had a lot of people go at him. He's had a lot of people say he's not what he could be. He's had a lot of people say he should be far better than he has. That he hasn't been good in coverage. That it goes on and on and on. And you know what? A lot of it's true. A lot of it's the criticism is perfectly valid and perfectly justified. However, Damon Clark was phenomenal today. He was even ripped off on that 2-point conversion. They called the defensive holding on him when he wrapped up the dude before, I think it was like just right off the line of scrimmage. So that's before 5 yards. That's not a flag. And they called defensive holding, and he had a smart pass coverage on the 2-point conversion where he kind of made it impossible for that guy to catch the 2-point conversion inbounds, and they took the play away kind of crazily. And Mississippi State were able to get that 2-point conversion. Could have cost LSU the game off that stupid, ridiculous call. And it would have been bad for Damon Clark after all the criticism, after all the crap. He has such a great game, keeping everything in front of him, just collecting tackles like an absolute machine. And then that happens, it would have been pandemonium. I would have felt horrible for Damon. But very glad it didn't happen. So that Damon Clark can have that confidence just like Cordell Flott. Damon Clark, he was always there for these wrap-ups after the catch. It kept Mississippi State in front. And here's the thing. I always felt like LSU were going to do this, but I felt like LSU were going to give up more points and score more points. I thought there was going to be a far more explosive offensive game. Mississippi State were bad offensively for a lot of this game compared to their usual standards. 47 completions, I get it, but that's their MO. LSU, their game plan was almost to allow the 2, 3, 4 yard completions so as to prevent the big missed tackles, the big yards after the catch, after the play. Almost like, I know I'm scared of like how I approach my angles in tackling you, so I'm going to let you I'm going to let you catch it, but I'm going to be right there when you catch it, and I'm going to pounce on you the second you catch it. And there's going to be 1 or 2 guys, hopefully, next to me to do that. Always with LSU, until that last fourth quarter, when they were able to gash us just down the field like that. LSU were able to do that. They were able to outnumber them and make these nice gang tackles and make these tackles in space. Major Burns made a few that were really sick. Jay Ward coming from a concussion, and he has 6 tackles tonight. Really gutsy display from this defense. Really, really badass display from this defense. Yes, Kevin Howell just said, hasn't Clark led the team in tackles in each game this year? Yes, he has. I think he only had like 7 last game or something, but yes, he has. Every game this year. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff LSU did offensively that bugged me. There's a lot of things we should have been taking advantage of. A lot of mismatches that, for some reason, we didn't hit. We didn't connect with. But you have to surrender your negative vibes to the brilliance of those big plays. You have to surrender your negative bullshit to LSU beating the team that absolutely embarrassed us last year, pulled our pants down, and gave us a Elton John spanking before the world last year. And this season, We said, hell no. We're not going to fall for the same thing. We won't get fooled again. Bow, 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 bow. Meet the new boss. Bow, bow, bow. Yeah, LSU, same as the old boss. No, LSU absolutely kicked some absolute ass today on defense. They really did. The statistics will not even show that. You just got to watch the performance. Performance was high octane. It was validating for Durante Jones in his inaugural season as defensive coordinator here at LSU. This is very validating for him. Just a great establishment, a springboard for him to build some confidence off of. Same thing with his defense. They were able to run the 3-4 after practicing 4-3 basically all off season. But they knew they were always going to be running a 3-4 against Mississippi State. They always knew this. They were always preparing for this. They were the first play of the game. They're in a 3-4 setup, and I was like, hell yes. Durante Jones is serious about winning this game. That was my initial thought. I'm not joking around. It was the aerial camera kind of like went over our defensive line. The ball's there, like Mississippi State are getting the crowd kind of going into it, and like the players going up to snap the ball, and the camera's going over the defense. And it showed it very clearly who was all in there. The 3-4. It was Joseph Evans, Neil Farrell Jr., and I believe B.J. Ojolari. And then the 4, Micah Baskerville, Damon Clark, Cordell Flott, Cam Lewis. And then at the back end, you got, of course, Major Burns, Jay Ward, Dwight McLaughlin Jr., and Eli Ricks. And that setup was really nasty. And they kept mixing in Mason Smith. Then they'd go back to the 4-3, go back to the 3-4. They just tried to manipulate the numbers, tried to manipulate the matchups. They never let Will Rogers dictate this football game. See that? That's usually a touchdown for Will Rogers. Not against Eli Ricks. That's the only target he threw against Eli Ricks all game. That is the only one. And look at that brilliant coverage from Eli Ricks. Look at that. That is just filthy from Eli Ricks. That is unstoppable coverage. Wrong sport for Duke versus Kansas. What, Eli? I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Eli. Duke versus Kansas. What are you talking about? You're talking about how Keishon Butte goes up and gets it like a basketball player or something? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Anyway, try and get some more people in here, some more questions, but feels like people immediately are like, oh, the game's done. LSU survived. All right, I'm going back to sleep. Either that or they're just watching a billion other pre-games and post-games instead of us. Either way, we had a great time watching this game. This was fantastic. This is what college football is all about. This is what the SEC is all about. This is what cheering on your team, hoping for victory, believing in victory is all about. LSU needed this game. Coach Ed Orgeron needed this game. The Coach Ed Orgeron era needed this game brutally bad. If Coach O and LSU come out here in this game and played as piss poor as they did against UCLA and lost that game, Coach Ed Orgeron might not have a job by Monday. And that is so sad for me to even begin to say. Look at that from Goodwin. That's a strong run there. Strong 9-yard run there from Goodwin. But Coach Ed Orgeron had his team ready to go, his staff was drilled. They were ready to go against Mike Leach. This was LSU football, baby. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean. But when you look at the actual game, not just on the surface, but when you look at the actual finite reasons LSU won this game, not the reasons LSU could have lost this game, but the reasons LSU won this game, because we have a big playability on this team that is shocking. That's the play from Corey. Oh, that's scary. We have a big playability on this team that we can score almost on every possession. It's frightening. Corey, please do not leave your feet. Please do not do this again, my man. Oh, Corey. Right there, I was really, really freaking out. Oh, my God, Corey. But it looked like Corey was all right. Corey, please don't do that. You're scaring me. Of course, you're scaring your mom, scaring all of LSU Nation, scaring your sister, scaring everybody, man. Scaring your dad, scaring everybody. Please don't do that, man. Terrifying us, bro. But LSU, they showed a lot of venom on defense today. There was a lot of hard hitting, but then there was a lot of some trash talking. There was some guys getting in some people's faces. Damon Clark was talking a ton of trash. Major Burns, Cordell Flott was actually talking trash to a guy after he dropped the ball, basically saying, "Oh yeah, you didn't want anything coming from us. You didn't want to get absolute ass deleted by us." Any questions, anybody? We've got some information on some stuff that happened before the game, but it didn't really feel it was too necessary to put out there. But anybody have any questions about anything going on with the Tigers, anything going on with LSUODYSSEY.com, anything going on with this game, this crazy crazy game that came down to the final bit there. I'm all ears. I'm all words. I'll answer all of your questions. There's a lot of drama going on off the field of LSU, but it's great to see that most of what happened on the field for the Tigers was just victory. LSU just winning. That's what it's about. LSU winning football games by whatever score necessary. I don't care if LSU won 3-0 for the rest of the season. As long as they win the games, fantastic. Actually, okay, take that back. There has to be for LSU, there's got to be an explosive style to it. There's got to be some prowess, some panache, some style, some sauce, some heart, some intensity, some drive. Just this obsession with scoring touchdowns like the 2019 team. That's why we were so obsessed with the 2019 team. 2019 team could have ended up not winning a national championship, and they would still be every LSU Tigers' favorite team because of just their absolute entertaining joy to watch. It's so fun. And that's what I want to see from LSU. We can make these big plays on every single drive. Max could throw 6 or 7 touchdowns in a game multiple times this season, and I would not be shocked. You know why? We have the weapons to do so. That's why we have the weapons for him to be throwing ridiculous numbers of touchdowns right now on the season. 15 touchdowns on the season right now for Max. And this is another good play I like. I like seeing Max. He's working he hangs onto the ball too long, but there was nothing there. And with his ability, we're able to actually get that from a 3rd and 7 and make it into at least a chunk play for a 4th and 2. I don't like that we punted the ball there, if I'm correct. Yeah, we punted. I don't like that at all. LSU should have gone for it. I mean, why not? LSU should have gone for it right there. We don't have to run the quarterback sneak. or any of that stupid crap. Just go for it. TDP will get you 2-3 yards at least, no matter what, on command. As long as you at least, don't fall over the second you snap the ball, which isn't always guaranteed. But it was a game that freaked me out. I'll admit it. LSU were in control. I felt so comfortable. I felt like this is great. It's only 14-3, but I feel like LSU had this thing, and I feel like we were just a few plays away from absolutely taking it over the top, and we were. As we found out, LSU were. We exploded it up into 28-10, but then once it got to 28-10, it just seemed like LSU just wore down without Derek Stingley, wore down without Andre Anthony, wore down without Sony Fanua, wore down without Mike Jones Jr.'s contributions. Like, there's just a lot of guys that were missing or just weren't used, and LSU were sucking air by the end of the game. Trey Palmer, man, he had that sick punt return, spinning through people, and then he had that filthy touchdown. See, look at that. That's a sick play right there by Max Johnson. You're telling me that Miles Brennan's making that play and that throw too. I don't think you understand how tight of a window that is for Max to fit that in. I mean, Butte is just a freak today. It really was only those couple plays, but it won us the football game. I mean, if Keyshawn Butte catches 2 passes for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns every game, okay. Boom. How did that happen? How did that happen? The second I see Max uncork and go long, I always feel optimistic. I know there's people that can't say he can't throw the deep ball. I disagree right there. I feel like Max absolutely can. Obviously, this was wide open. All he has to do is make sure just to hit the guy. But what happened here? There's Bull. There's Brad loving it. There's Nikki loving it. Bull wearing a purple 14. I hope that probably might be Max's jersey from last week. I wouldn't doubt it. Ooh. Yeah, that guy just gets completely befuddled and turns in and stops. I don't know how that guy got befuddled. Just keep backing up. Just keep backing up. Everything's in front of you except for Palmer, who's just about to pass you up. Just keep backpedaling. He turns in, he turns his hips in. The second he turns his hips in against a guy like Trey Palmer, with his speed, he's done. Oh, I love that with Max Johnson. He's such a badass. Like, love him or hate him, whatever your opinion is on Max Johnson, he's a fucking badass. 6 straight game with 3+ passing touchdowns, the longest streak in college football. This dude is a badass. This dude is just a badass. I don't care what anybody says. I love Max Johnson. He's awesome. I love his grit. I love his vibe. And people who say he doesn't have an arm and then he's putting up all these crazy LSU records of passing touchdowns and for even yards at times, and it's just nuts. I mean, I believe he has the freshman LSU record for passing yards in a game as well, touchdown yards in a game. And now he's the first LSU quarterback to throw 3+ touchdowns in his first 4 starts. Or no, I believe this is his first 3 starts. And now he's been doing that for 6 straight games now. 6 straight games. My God. When is the streak going to end? Is Max going to be able to keep this streak going all season? Because if he does, my predictions before the season of Max throwing 40+ touchdowns doesn't look that bad off, does it? Does it? I remember people mocking my predictions before the season of touchdowns with Kayshon Boutte and Max Johnson. I have Kayshon Boutte catching 16 touchdowns this season. People were just absolutely... He already has 8 after 4 games. So even if he plays half as good for the whole rest of the season, he'll still catch 16. Even if he plays half as good as he has up till now, he'll still catch 16. So, Cornell Williams with a great comment here. This is great stuff. This just came in. Tigers can be one-dimensional, just a passing game. Got to run the ball. Max Johnson is great, defensive plus. LSU got to establish power running game. This is why I love comments, because there's times I get on a tangent and there's a point that I want to make and I forget about it. Once again, by the way, there's great tackling by these defensive tackles and defensive ends off the ball. Being able to get there off the ball every time. That's what won us this damn game on defense. Was being able to do that. But Cornell Williams, you're asking me about establishing a power running game. LSU aren't going to be able to establish a power running game this season, man. Not with that offensive line. No way. No way. Mm-mm. If they do, it would be amazing. It would be amazing if they could. What they need to establish is just a running game of any kind. And really, at this point, it's not even establishing a running game. It's just establishing an offensive rhythm. And that's going to have to be through the air. The passing game is going to have to become the running game in a way. We have to use the passing game to wear down the opposition more effectively. I mean, we didn't really do that today. And it's because I believe we were scoring touchdowns so quickly. But still, we want to wear down that defense. And we really didn't wear them down too much until things were right about the 21 to 28 point mark where we scored those 2 touchdowns. It felt like we were really starting to put the foot on the neck. Then again, they were able to come up with some stops after that, which were just mystifying to me. How LSU could not get this to 31, get this to 35, get it to 42, and just finish Mississippi State off. Like, just finish them off. Get another touchdown. I was expecting Corey Kiner, Ty Davis-Price, Armani Goodwin, one of the running backs, to break one of these runs loose and just be gone for a score. And no one could. Ty was able to break off some big runs. But that offensive line were piss poor today. They didn't allow Max Johnson to get knocked around too much, but they were still piss poor. Cornell Williams say, I agree with you, keep people off their feet. Yep. I mean, dude, it's just, what can we do? We have to move this offensive line to the left, to the right, to up, to the down. We got to get this offensive line pulling. We got to get these guys in pulling motions the second they snap that ball. We got to get them moving. But are they athletic enough to do that? Well, I know Max Johnson's athletic enough to move. So let's have Max Johnson be like moving the pocket side to side. Get him on the bootleg action. I feel like when Max is rolling to his left and he's throwing the football, especially deep or intermediary routes, through the heart, through tight windows, he is devastating as a quarterback. He is a surgeon at times. 9 out of 10 times, he's a surgeon throwing those bootleg roll to his left passes. Let's get him in that action. Let's get him in that action more. I want to see how many sacks Mississippi State had on Max Johnson. 2 sacks. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterback hurries. They only say that Jaquelin Roy had 1 quarterback hurry, which he did on that 3rd down play. But they had a few more quarterback hurries and pressures than they like to say. The way that stats are taken for pressures and quarterback hits are so stupid. Pressures, quarterback hits, quarterback hurries. Please explain to me what the difference is. Pressure means that you evade the pocket, make them evade the pocket, pressure them, right? Or is that a quarterback hurry? You make them evade the pocket and then throw an incompletion. For me, you just should count those both as just something called quarterback pressures. Then you have another stat called forced incompletions, where either great coverage forces the incompletion or unbelievable pressure forces a pass out of bounds. For the quarterback to throw it away or to throw it errantly. That, to me, needs to be a statistic in college football and in the NFL. These pressures, quarterback hurries, quarterback hits, all this different stuff is just stupid to me because they never tally it right. Especially when you watch the footage of how many times these guys actually are in the backfield, actually pressuring the quarterback. Is that catch on Eli Ricks? Is that Eli Ricks' guy, number 4, Heath? I charted only 1 target that went Eli Ricks' way all game. That was Major Burns' guy, but Eli Ricks came in there to try and make the play, it looks. Yep, that wasn't Eli's guy, but still, I think that will go as a target against Eli, which is great play design. A target against Eli when Eli wasn't even covering him to begin with. Not close. I mean, Heath isn't even in this picture. I was looking for him, like, where the hell is this guy? He comes clear over here, boom. Someone has got to jam these guys on the line of scrimmage. Just jam them at the line of scrimmage. Mess with their route trajectory. I don't understand why that doesn't happen more. Why doesn't that happen more? Why don't the guys just smash them in the effing face the second they get off that line? Why not? I don't know. It's weird. A few complaints, few things and a few positives I'll say before I shut down here. Catch a few Z's and a few flicks this afternoon and relax and enjoy LSU's victory here. Right here, giving up this touchdown, giving up the next one. Just with 26 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, they finally get on the board. And then suddenly the game, even though LSU responds with a big touchdown here from Cole Taylor to make it 28-10, it felt like just on the next drives, LSU were just trying to already be super conservative and run out the play clock. It just didn't really seem too smart at all from LSU to kill this game off. Just give the ball to Keyshawn Butte, give the ball to Jack Besh. That's another complaint. Jack Besh was only targeted, let's see, let's make sure it was 2 or 3, but it was either 2 or 3 targets. This is from my own charting, my phone right here. Besh, 3 targets. He had 1 catch for 9, 1 catch for 11, 1 first down, and 1 third down completion conversion. Kayshon Boutte with 6 targets overall. 2 went for first down, touchdown on third down. Just sick. Thomas Jr. with 4 targets overall. You know, it's going to be a grind week in and week out. It's going to be a grind. They're listing Boutte with 7 targets officially. Deion Smith underperformed with 5 targets, 2 catches, 19 yards. Really should have played a lot better than he did. But LSU won the game. That's all that matters. This is a game that was going to be a tough psychological test, a tough game that was going to be, very worrying, very concerning. And LSU were in absolute control for most of the damn game. We were up by 18 plus points at one point. We kept an 18-point lead, then it goes back down to 11, and then we made it go back to up to 18 again. The concerning thing is 18-point lead disappearing with 15 fourth quarter points to our 7. That's the thing that's extremely concerning, is that we really wore down on defense, and they almost came back and won that game. That's the thing that gets to me. That Mississippi State put us in a terrible position where we let them back into that game. They had no reason being back in that game. We let them right back in it. And when you're up only 18 points in football, the first touchdown, you're like, okay, we're all right. Okay, it's still, okay, whatever. We'll give them 1. Then they score that next one, and you start getting really kind of worried, and you start maybe starting to panic, starting to worry about making mistakes on every play, and so you start making them. And our defense just kept the conservative 3-4 look where we just were basically waiting for the catch and making the tackle. And we basically just let them march down the field like that. And we just felt like, okay, they won't be able to do it in time. And we can still stop them in the red zone. It has them at 3 out of 4 opportunities in the red zone, Mississippi State. I don't really think that's correct, considering they gave up 2 turnovers in the red zone. And, LSU held them to a field goal on the other opportunity. Jed Olivier. I don't see LSU winning any more SEC games this season. I just don't. They should have hung 40-plus on Mississippi State. Pathetic. Well, it's hard. It is something that I feel like, LSU should have done better. LSU could have really lit into them. LSU, when it gets to 28-10, and we get the ball back, that's when LSU need to kill this game off. And then when it goes to 28-17 and we get the ball back, that's when LSU really need to score another touchdown or another field goal. Just score points, put points on the board, and finish it off. Still, they were not able to whatsoever, and it became this run-out-the-clock festival, and it was awful. It was awful to see. You wanted to see LSU absolutely step on them, just like we did to every team in college football in 2019. You wanted to see LSU step on them and kind of put Mississippi State back in their place. But I feel like, even though we figured out Mike Leach, found a great recipe against his offense. We still really narrowly only just barely won this game, and it was all due to the big, critical, huge, explosive plays that Deion Smith was not a part of for the first time in the back-to-back games. It was all about Keyshawn Boutte. Everybody thought it would be Deion Smith who would be explosive today, or Jack Bech. Jack Bech only got the ball 3 times his way, 19 yards total. It was all up to Keyshawn Boutte, Cole Taylor, and then randomly Trey Palmer for 58 yards. So it was a weird game. But the plays were explosive. There was some wasted drives, but there's got to be far more intent to kill off the game. There's got to be far more innovation, drive to score these game-winning touchdowns, to take it to 35, take it to 42, push the limit, take it to the limit, over and beyond. Absolutely kick Mississippi State's ass. And it felt like we just wanted to beat them today, not kick their ass. But, I will take the win, because a win's a win with this LSU team after what we saw against UCLA. But very, very good signs from this defense. This defense came out ready to play. They came out ready to atone for what happened last year. And I know that they let them back into the game. But did you expect LSU to shut out Mississippi State for 3 quarters, 3 whole quarters? No, you didn't. You expected LSU to probably allow 15 points in a quarter at one point. It was the 4th quarter, which we didn't like. But the fact that LSU were in so much control that 15 points in the 4th quarter being scored to R7 actually didn't put us in jeopardy. We kneeled the game out. Yes, there was an onside kick. But tell me the last time an onside kick, other than the Saints 2009 Super Bowl win, when it's ever really been that decisive. Onside kicks rarely work. They're awesome, but it's very much a 25-75 to onside kicks not working than working. You could say probably even argue the odds would be a lot lower. See, Tyus Price, when he had even just a little bit of room, was getting 4 or 5 yards each carry, which is what you want. It's just we stopped giving him the football. And that's the thing. If you want to criticize LSU for not running the ball well, of course. I'm also going to criticize Jake Peetz for not calling enough running plays. We're not running the football enough. We're not attempting to run the ball enough. 27 rushes. I mean, Mike Leach ran the ball for 26 times. Even Leach almost outrushed us. That's not good right there. And then there's the play. Cole Taylor catches his first LSU touchdown. I understand that it may have been inadvertent, but who cares? Cole Taylor was in the right place at the right time. LSU needed some luck on their side for once. For once, LSU needed the luck, deserved the luck, and earned it. LSU earned the offensive luck because of how great they were on defense in that first half and 3rd quarter. I mean, Mississippi State threw haymaker after haymaker at us in the 3rd quarter, and it didn't do anything. It took clear until the 26 seconds left in the 3rd for them to get to 10 points, for them to score an offensive touchdown. That is what lost them the game. They ran out of time. LSU's offense weren't good enough to score the kill shots, but it didn't matter. That's how good LSU's defense were. You have to give Durante Jones huge credit. Durante Jones came in with a plan, and it won us this game. Jake Peetz, I love what he's calling as far as explosive plays. I love what he's calling as far as with giving Keyshawn Boutte some reps to huge targets today. But there just seemed to not be the tempo, the flair that was there last week even. It just seemed like there was so much contemplation on the ball, and I want to see us run a lot more plays than that. I just don't understand what was going on there. But average yards per play for LSU 6.4, Mississippi State 5.5. One of the biggest indications of how you're, a team's success in any game is yards per play. LSU 6.4, Mississippi State 5.5. That's why yards per play is one of my favorite stats. Jed Olivier also says, too many injuries piling up to realistically compete in the conference. Tommy Moffitt needs to be fired. Well, LSU have had a gross amount of injuries that makes a lot of questions come up. But, T-Bob Hebert raised a very interesting point. If LSU get rid of Tommy Moffitt's going to be hired by Nick Saban within seconds. I'm just telling you that. Tommy Moffitt is loved by Nick Saban. Is there something maybe Tommy Moffitt's doing now that someone like Nick Saban isn't privy to because he's not in the LSU program? That's causing players to be hurt, stuff that's probably too intense. I mean, they're trying to follow science. Jack Marucci, as an athletic trainer with strength and conditioning coach Tommy Moffitt, they're trying to follow science, trying to follow using all these vests, all these body things, and still using all this technology, all these things, the masseuses, ice tubs, all ice baths, all that stuff. All the different drills and training that they do, the fact that their food is cooked for them by such great chefs and nutritionists, and still these injuries occur, it's got to point sometimes to the player. Sometimes you got to point the finger at the player being ill-prepared. Not saying that's what happened here. Sometimes that is the case. Jed Olivier says Auburn is going to mollywop LSU, not to mention Ole Miss, Alabama, Florida A&M, Arkansas, and probably Kentucky. So you expect LSU to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So LSU is going to lose 7 SEC games. Jed Olivier thinks LSU are going to lose 7 SEC games. Clown. Jed, you are a clown. Could that happen? There's just no way. There's just no way LSU will allow themselves to lose 7 SEC games. What is the realistic number, though, for LSU to lose 7 SEC games? 7 is obviously not a realistic number. What is a realistic number for LSU losing SEC games? My guess, 2. I think LSU will probably lose 2 SEC games. And I don't think we're losing to Alabama either. But here's the thing. Fans are the last to really get these predictions right, especially when they're early in the season. And I'm not saying I'm going to be right on everything I'm saying, but you can't just say that you're going to be right that LSU is completely out of it. If LSU win out, LSU were in the college football playoff and the SEC championship game. Especially with teams losing multiple games in higher spots, especially with Alabama, because if LSU finish undefeated, then we will have beaten Florida. That's Florida 2 losses. We would have been beaten Alabama. That's potentially their first or maybe even second loss. LSU will have won out and be in a very good spot to get in that CFP. It's not impossible. It is possible. It's very small. The chances are slim. You know why? LSU have no offensive line. We can't run the damn ball. 63 rushing yards is a joke. That is a joke. Yes, we predicted Max a bit better, but still, 63 rushing yards is an absolute joke. We couldn't kill off teams. You know, if we do this type of stuff against Arkansas, I think we lose this game because Arkansas, you know, say we get up on Arkansas early, but then we don't finish them off. I think Arkansas have the running game to control proceedings and actually fight their way back in that game in a second half comeback and beat us, especially if we shut off, you know, take our foot off the gas like we did here. LSU took their foot off the gas and really let an opportunity slide through their hands, of an opportunity to show the world what LSU is all about and to stomp Mississippi State with authority, pride, and intensity. LSU lost a chance to say, we are the freaking Tigers, and we're absolutely going to maul the shit out of you, Mississippi State. Because they're up 28-10. You had Mississippi State absolutely dejected. You had them at your mercy, and you could not finish the job. They took recovering of an onside kick. Well, actually, no, sorry. An onside kick, not even traveling 10 yards. They took the other team screwing up the onside kick for LSU to get this one over the line. That's my problem. That's my problem with that. How LSU let these guys back in this game is just absolutely it's mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me how LSU let this happen. Obviously, they got worn down, but it does not matter. I don't know how you get that worn down. You let them back in this game. You absolutely had them at your mercy. Had everything they do figured out. But it became a thriller. It became a great game. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was a lot of LSU fans looking at the clock. And that is just a very, you know, people who say, you know, LSU aren't used to that. Yeah, we are used to that. It reminds me of the Les Miles era. It reminds me of the freaking, you know, it's a joke. Reminds me of the Cam Cameron era. I hate that. I hate that LSU had to really survive this game. But that's, you know, sometimes you have to survive these games. Sometimes you have to win in these gritty, ugly ways. Sometimes that's the only way. And LSU pulled it out. LSU pulled this shit out. It was huge. What's up, AD? My man AD just sent me a DM. What's up, AD? Hey, brother. My man A Diesel. Keith Connell says, dude, you're delusional. How am I delusional? Because I said that LSU are still mathematically in the college football playoff race? It's true. We only have one loss. Like, did you not even listen to a word I said, Keith Connell? I literally said LSU are mathematically still in it. Are they going to be in it at the end, even though I picked 2 SEC losses? No, because we don't have an offensive line. So what? I guess I should pick LSU to lose 6 SEC games. Would that make you feel like I'm not delusional? I'm not gonna bend to what you want me to pick, Keith. Okay, LSU, in my opinion, are gonna lose 2 SEC games. You can't handle that. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, but delusion Delusion is right now saying LSU can run all over teams. LSU are going to run all over everyone's face. We're going to get 300 rushing yards. That's delusion. Okay? Saying that LSU absolutely owned and dominated Mississippi State, that's delusion. So, and actually, let's learn how to spell the word Delusional, Keith. Come on, man. Come on. You know, you're gonna call somebody delusional. You gotta really back that up. I mean, what did you actually also got to listen to people? What am I saying here? What am I saying? LSU are going to probably lose 2 SEC games. If you can't handle that, then that's fine. But it's what I believe is going to happen. And you think LSU are going to lose every single game from here on out? It's quite obvious that you're kind of a biased opinion, and you're not really someone who's quite trustworthy in that evaluation anyway. But people called me delusional when I said Kayshon Boutte would be the best receiver in college football. He has 8 touchdowns, a leading scorer in college football. He's scoring every 3.1 touches. He has over 300 receiving yards and is an absolute beast. Okay. Everyone thought I was delusional when I said Max Johnson was going to throw up a lot of crazy numbers with passing touchdowns because of this receiving core. And without an offensive line and with an underperforming, underwhelming receiving core, not even playing anywhere near their abilities, LSU are putting up record numbers of touchdowns, passing touchdowns, that Auburn can only dream of in a wet dream of Bo Nix. Are you kidding me, dude? Like, Auburn are gonna shut up. You can't even beat Penn State. Like, you can't even go up into Happy Valley and beat Penn State. Just shut up. Okay? Just stop. Like, I've never even really had that big of a problem with Auburn. I mean, you guys beat Alabama in that crazy Iron Bowl. That was just one of my favorite games to watch because it was great to see Alabama in such a disarray. And I thank you for that season. But let's don't pretend we're bigger than we are here, okay? Let's don't pretend we're bigger than we are. LSU have how many championships since the year 2003? And Auburn have how many? And how many appearances? So I don't know why LSU get all this shit and can't ever be the ones to tough talk, but like Alabama, sorry, not Alabama, but Auburn and Tennessee and all these random schools are trying to tough talk Texas A&M. It's like, what have you ever done? Like, that wasn't Cam Newton. Like, 2013 Auburn was a great team, though. I'll take that back. 2013 Auburn was a fantastic team, but other than that, yeah. LSU are not losing 7 SEC games. I think that's absolutely delusional. Saying 2 SEC games for LSU to lose, saying LSU end with a 9-3 record, that's pretty fair. But then again, you look at that offensive line. LSU could lose 5 games with this offensive line. Like, really, LSU could finish the season 7-5 thanks to this horrible offensive line. All it takes is one play, one shot at the quarterback. That's all it takes. But, it's a long season. Oh, my face hurts. 2 hours and 4 minutes. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody. Check us out at LSUODYSSEY.com. There it is. LSUODYSSEY.com. check us out there, LSUODYSSEY.com. We've got some fantastic pieces, some fantastic interviews. If you're into Deion Smith, we got a great interview with his trainer, Shay Hodge. This is a guy who also played under Coach Ed Orgeron, was all SEC receiver at Ole Miss. Blistering interview there about ins and outs of Deion Smith. It's fantastic. We're going to have some stuff with Jake Johnson coming up, Mason Taylor, I'm sure, Jack Besh as well. There's a lot of stuff coming. That's a lot of stuff in the works for LSUODYSSEY.com. I'm extremely excited about. We've got some things that we've never done before that we're like, how do we even do this? And we figured it out. We found the right people. It might take a second, but it's going to be unbelievable when you finally see it when it happens. It's going to be a surprise, but it's something I didn't even want to tease, but here I am doing it, and I'm really excited because we just put the finishing touches on it, and I mean not just like me, I'm meaning like me and a few people. There's one other person involved and another person helping as well. That's very interesting. We got an investor as well into LSUODYSSEY.com, so we're going to be able to pull off some NIL deals with some more than we have. The second NIL became illegal, the first thing we did was we contacted Jack Besh and asked him if he wanted to do a deal, and Jack Besh agreed. So LSU, part of the LSU Odyssey team, is wide receiver Jack Besh, but now we're going to be able to expand to a variety of different players. We talked to so many different players and their families, but that's going to expand because, and really more just because I'm getting all of the words and the reactions from them, but now you'll be able to. There's going to be a lot of interviews that I'm not going to have to pay for because these people are just awesome and they're going to want to talk, but there's going to be a lot of people who might take some NIL persuasion potentially because they haven't heard of us or something like that. But, it's a process. Drew, Flott for Heisman. Oh, that was awesome from Cordell Flott, though. That was pretty badass. But yeah, some stuff that is in the works for LSUODYSSEY.com. So check us out. Yeah, LSU, we improved to 3-1. Leave Starkville with business, mission accomplished. 28-25, taking care of business. Avery Atkins was too familiar for us. Saw him too much than we'd like, but we got the job done. Max Johnson continues his streak of 6 games with 3+ touchdown passes, and Kayshon Boutte just continues his streak of touchdown catches. Just unbelievable what both guys are doing, and they're carrying the Tigers through this game. Kayshon Boutte and Max, they carried the Tigers. But hope you all have a hell of a Saturday, and please be safe, have fun. If you want to read something, check out LSUODYSSEY.com. If you want to watch something, check out LSUODYSSEY.com. And everybody, have a hell of a weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, for posting your comments, for checking out our vibe. I've talked so much, my brain is turned to egg yolks right now. I've never done a podcast this long, at least not that that I can remember. But thank you very much for joining us. Go Tigers, baby. Go Tigers.